The hearing will come to order. We are here to consider an issue that is cause for great alarm. The all too familiar issue of discrimination within the United States Department of Agriculture. Discrimination in the delivery of services to minorities and women farmers and treatment of minority employees at USDA has been a long-standing problem. Confirmed by official investigations and class action settlements that was once envisioned by President Lincoln as the People's Department, many now call the last plantation, and statistics seem to support this, and that is very troubling. For too long, we have heard from minority farmers and workers at USDA that they have been shut out of government loans and job promotions for decades because of the color of their skin. In fact, these problems have persisted for so long that Congress took action to reorganize USDA to emphasize the importance of civil rights. The 2002 Farm Bill established the position of Assistant Secretary of Civil Rights to provide overall leadership and coordination of all civil rights programs across the Department of Agriculture. Today, 5 years later, we examine whether that reform has been effective at eliminating discrimination at USDA. Unfortunately, the answer to that question appears to be no. Although Congress gave the Office of Civil Rights the resources, the autonomy, and authority to adequately help underserved farmers and minority employees, it remains unclear whether there has been any improvement in the management of USDA civil rights programs. Serious questions have been raised in the past year regarding how USDA tracks, processes, and remedies complaints brought by farmers and its own employees. Today we hear from members of the farming community as they tell us the difficulties that they personally experience at USDA. We will also hear from representatives of USDA employees. These personal stories are supported by government audit findings. Last year, the USDA Inspector General reported that employment complaints were not timely processed. There were no internal controls to ensure the accuracy and reliability of complaint data. And that complaint data in the department's computer files did not match up with the physical cases. GAO also reports that lengthy backlogs persist and that the USDA statistics are not reliable. Furthermore, there have been a series of incidents in the past few months that caused me to question the department's commitment to safeguarding civil rights. In September 2007, an email circulated among employees of the Farm Service Administration, Farm Service Agency, criticizing congressional action to reopen a landmark civil rights case against USDA for discrimination in providing farm loans to black farmers. More recently, GAO ran into several roadblocks in gaining access to documents and at one point were even kicked out of the building as they tried to interview employees. I want to send a very, very clear message that stonewalling a congressional investigation is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Let me repeat. Stonewalling a congressional investigation is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Very little has changed in the last 5 years, despite a growing bureaucracy whose top priority is to address these issues. It is quite disturbing that we still regularly hear about discriminatory treatment or delay in resolving complaints. It seems to be that the missing link here seems to be one of accountability. From the highest level of management to the county supervisor in the field who fails to adequately service an African American farmer's loan. We've been talking about these issues for long enough. It's time to do something about it. It is my hope that we can work together to come up with a better strategy to ensuring that every client and every employee at USDA is treated fairly. This is why we have come together today to put an end to this ugly, unfair practice. I now stop and recognize the ranking member of the committee, Mr. Bill Blake, from the great state of California. Mr. Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for having this hearing. I want to thank the panel for coming forward. And Mr. Chairman, I think your opening statement speaks for both of us. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we did